Okay, greetings one and all, and welcome to this English language lesson. In this English language lesson, we will be considering paper 3, yes, paper 3 of a BGCSE pass examination, and the year that we will be looking at is 2013. So let's begin. The instructions rather states, read the following passage carefully before you attempt any questions. And the title of this passage is The Question of Heroes. The Question of Heroes. Who are a society's heroes? Who are the individuals who are admired and imitated by people in a society? Another question to be asked is, why does the society idolize these particular individuals, ignoring others who are perhaps far more deserving of admiration? And why does the society consider these people, both men and women, heroes? The term hero originated with legends, which are stories called myths about people who are highly respected. Mythology is filled with accounts of heroes. For example, there's the Epic of Gilgamesh, a long ancient Sumerian legend written as a poem. This poem, composed before the Hebrew Bible, is perhaps the oldest written story on earth, telling about the dangerous quest of King Gilgamesh. Then there is Beowulf, the oldest epic poem in the English language. This legend describes how the warrior Beowulf battles three dreadful enemies who have been killing his people. No one knows who actually wrote both of these legends, but most likely each one was written by a number of people rather than by one person. Another poem, the Odyssey, tells of the heroic acts of King Odysseus. King Odysseus is renowned for his Trojan horse trick. Homer, who wrote the Odyssey, gives an exciting account of how their king led the Greeks in sneaking into the heavily fortified city of Troy, a city with which they were engaged in a long and tiresome war. They built a gigantic, beautiful wooden horse, which they left outside the city walls, supposedly as a peace offering. The Trojans wheeled the horse into the city and then celebrated. That night, when the city fell asleep, Greek assassins stealthily crawled out of the belly of the horse in which they had been hiding all the while. They swarmed out into the streets, slaughtered the men of Troy, and enslaved their women and children. Those are a few heroes of the past. Who are the heroes in today's world? The paragraphs labeled A through J below are excerpts from interviews with a number of persons. Read these extracts and consider, among other things, what the speakers believe are the qualities of a hero. A. My image of a hero comes from the movie Volcano. I must have rented the DVD about 10 times. There is a scene with a firefighter who saw a lava approaching and saw two unconscious people still inside the train. He got into the train, picked them both up, and jumped into the lava so that they would land just beyond it and could be carried to safety by others. I can't think of a more admirable way to leave this earth. It sure beats passing on as a decrepit old mess in some nursing home at the age of 90. I also think Superman as a superhero because he has superpowers. He's not just a plain hero, he's the biggest comic book hero ever, bigger than Batman. I used to daydream about the impossible, meeting him, even being him, adventures every day, flying over skyscrapers with one leap, having X-ray eyes that can see things miles away. Good looking, with tons of adoring women around me, saving the world. I've got Superman comic books that my dad bought 50 years ago. Old as I'm old, old as I am, I still buy Superman comics with no shame. B. Hero is a very overused term. Heroes are just plain ordinary people like you and me who jump into action, not as their job, but because they care for the world. They don't perform stupid stunts to gain attention. Heroes really have no clue that they are a hero until a situation moves them to act at the right time. A moment will not call to everyone, only the hero. For example, a baby fell into a gorilla cage and a young male spectator jumped right in after her, while about 30 onlookers, including the baby's parents, just stood there watching. See, remember when there was a plane crash near the Lyndon Pinning International Airport and the Defense Force officers went into Lake Killarney to search for the 9 missing passengers? Those officers were heroes. That work was dangerous and traumatic. Think about it. They train and drill every day preparing for emergencies just like that one so that they can serve our country whenever the need arises. I'm sure they made others want to join the force. And then D. Jennifer Hudson is my hero. She is so talented. She can sing and she's beautiful too. She struggled to get to where she is today, even though the entertainment industry can be a killer, and ended up selling millions of CDs and winning an Oscar as the Best Actress. She has suffered the tragedy of losing her mother, brother, and little nephew when they were murdered at the same time. But she didn't let that destroy her spirit. She is special. What I get from her is that I can be rich and famous too. I want to go to one of her concerts and actually get her autographs. E. I know a real life hero, Roger. He looks just like any other student, but he's different. I like being around him. Last week, 2 outsiders somehow got onto campus and interrupted our math class. They burst into the room, threatened the teacher, and threatened to wreck the room. Roger stepped in front of Miss Pratt and said, "You don't really want to go there, man. There's always another way." They cursed and threatened him, but he didn't move and they left. The rest of us were trying to be invisible, but there was Roger, ready to take a beating. Some of us felt really small afterwards. Why didn't we do something? I think he's a hero to all of us students and to Miss Pratt for sure. And then there's F. It annoys me when I see the media calling Olympic medalists or NBA stars heroes. They're not heroes. And some people who struggle to beat serious illnesses like cancer are called fighters and heroes. Sure, they think positively. Sure, we should admire them. But to me, that doesn't mean they are heroes. And then we have G. Maybe the whole idea of having a hero and idolizing someone is enough. Personally, I love the Golden Girls. They are my heroes. As a matter of fact, whenever ZNS TV runs that clip of Debbie bringing the baton home in the 4x4 with Pauline screaming, "Go, Debbie," in the background, I'll be honest, I cry every time. I think that having a role model, I think that having a role model, that's what gives us hope. And that what makes us strive to achieve our dreams. With a hero to look up to and with hope in our hearts, we can achieve and just and I just think that maybe that's enough. If we idolize someone enough to draw hope from them, who cares? Who cares if they haven't saved a life? They gave someone hope, and maybe that in itself makes them a hero. H. I heard on the news how a little boy saved most of his class during the earthquake in Haiti when his school building was coming down, and he ended up dying because he wouldn't leave. That story made me so sad. That's what I call a hero. My mom and dad are my heroes too, because of how they support me and make sure I'm all right before they do anything else for themselves. A hero to me is someone that comes to your rescue. Whatever the situation, anyone could be a hero. And then we have I. Maybe 2 months ago, I went to a fast food restaurant and left my iPhone right on the ledge in the restroom while I was washing my hands. When I returned an hour later to retrieve it, I couldn't find it. The phone is expensive, and I had just put $100 on it. So you know I was more than upset. I decided to go to the police station. I decided to go to the police station. I decided to go to the police station down the road from the restaurant to report the phone missing. And there was it. Somehow, someone had found it and taken it there. I could hardly believe it. It shows that all is not lost. We need more people like that. That person is my hero. Let me read it again. Maybe 2 months ago, I went to a fast food restaurant and left my iPhone right on the ledge in the restroom while I was washing my hands. When I returned an hour later to retrieve it, I couldn't find it. That phone is expensive and I had just put $100 on it, so you know I was more than upset. I decided to go to the police station down down the road from the restaurant to report the phone missing. And there was it. Someone had found it and taken it there. I could hardly believe it. It shows that all is not lost. We need more people like that. That person is my hero. J. Mommy homeschools me, but when she runs errands or goes to the gym, I teach Zulu how to pick up my baby brother and carry him around. Zulu is a South African Boerboel. He's huge and powerful, but that breed isn't aggressive at all. But he looks terrifying. Just ask anyone who scaled our 7-foot wall trying to raid our orchard. One look at Zulu, and they're back over the wall in a flash. Last week, Mommy was gone and our helper was outside, probably flirting with the gardener while he was turning over the compost heap and picking caterpillars off the tomato plants because we don't use pesticides. Anyway, the helper forgot the stove was on. The fire alarm woke me up from a nap and I ran downstairs. There was black smoke. There was black smoke everywhere. The kitchen was on fire. I made it to the front door and opened it to let the smoke out. And I was going back inside to look for my brother in the nursery. But the helper and the neighbor, but the helper and the neighbors outside grabbed me and wouldn't let me. Then I remembered Zulu and I whistled for him and he came running. By this time, firemen were there, trampling all over the vegetable garden. I gave Zulu the signal to pick up my brother and he bounded away in the burning house. Yes, I was afraid for him, but I was more afraid for my brother. Zulu came out with my brother dangling from his mouth. One fireman said, "Son, Zulu is the real hero of the day." I agree. I don't think many people would have gone into that burning house. Some people argue that there are no longer any heroes. They say they say that the whole concept of the hero is now mere wishful thinking. Indeed, not everyone has what it takes to be a hero. Yet, if there are no longer any heroes, how do we explain the heroic acts that sometimes occur? The truth of the matter is, no matter how few, there are some people worthy of being called heroes. All right, and that is the end of the reading. If you need to read it again, you can read it again just to, digest it and to really understand what's happening. But we are going to go and answer the question. It says here in the instructions, unless otherwise indicated, all answers must be based on the information presented in the passage. In answering questions 1 through 5, write down the letter A, B, C, or D to indicate the most appropriate answer. So question number 1 says, what do Gilgamesh and Beowulf have in common? Is it A, they are major male is it A, they are major male characters in the Hebrew Bible? B, they outsmarted their dangerous enemies in battle? C, they wrote very long poems about their own adventures? Or is it D, the heroic deeds are celebrated in stories called myths? The correct answer to this is definitely D, based on the passage, we can definitely deduce that D is the correct answer. A through B is not, does not align with what the passage tells us. Let's move on to B. What was the Trojan horse? What was the Trojan horse? Is it A, a peace offering from the poet Homer to the Trojan? B, a camouflage hiding place for clever Trojan assassins? C, a place of hiding for devious assassins from Greece? Or was it D, a display of art meant for outside the city walls of Troy? The correct answer to this question is definitely C. The Trojan horse mentioned inside the passage was a place of hiding for devious assassins. Remember, it was a trick. It was a trick. So they had the Trojan horse, but inside the horse, remember they had the horse, I should say. They had the horse inside. They had the horse outside of the city walls. But when the Trojans brought it in, then the Greek assassins came out and destroyed. They came. Then the Greek assassin came out and assassinated the soldiers that were there and had their wives and stuff. Had their wives and I believe their children as slaves. Okay, so the correct answer for this one is C. Question number 3, which word best describes the woman speaking in interview I immediately before she loses her, which word best describes the woman speaking in interview I immediately before she loses her phone? Is it A, absent-minded, B, materialistic, C, compulsive, or D, grateful? Let's define these words. Absent-minded, the definition is basically if someone who is absent-minded forgets things or does not pay attention to what they're doing, often because they are thinking about something else. So that's what I mean by absent-minded. Materialistic, the definition of materialistic is valuing material possessions and wealth as central to happiness. Compulsive refers to driven by strong, irresistible impulses to perform certain behaviors, and grateful means feeling or showing appreciation and thankfulness. So based on this, remember the lady, she lost her iPhone. Really, she forgot her iPhone in the bathroom. And that happens to, you know, a lot of persons. If you have a phone and you leave it someplace and, and you just leave and then you come back to be like, where's my phone? Where's my phone? Well, that is, you being absent-minded. And typically persons are absent-minded when they have something else in their mind, maybe thinking about something else. And so definitely the correct answer for this one is A, she's absent-minded. She's not really focused on what's happening at hand. She forgets. Remember, absent-minded, you forget things or you don't pay attention. So she forgets her phone. So definitely that is her being absent-minded. All right, number 4, what conclusion can you arrive about Zulu mentioned in interview J? He is able to produce high-pitched whistles. Zulu did not, he did not whistle. She whistled to him, so that's A is not the answer. Young children obey his orders immediately. No, he is not. Zulu is a dog. Zulu was not given any orders. He's an exceptionally skilled canine. Or D, he is careless in handling the baby. He is not careless in handling the baby. Even though the baby is dangling from his mouth, that doesn't mean he is careless. In fact, he is careful because the baby was not harmed, at least according to what was mentioned in the passage. The dog was a hero, so the baby had to be in some sort of safety, and so he wasn't careless in handling the baby. Otherwise, the baby would have been, in much more harm than it was. And something actually harmful would happen to the baby, but the baby was safely retrieved by the dog. So the correct answer here is definitely C. He is an exceptionally skilled canine because, to go in that fire, first of all, to be able to understand what the girl is saying, to be able to go in there and retrieve the baby safely, he's definitely a skilled canine and definitely a hero in that in that particular account. All right, question number 5. The persons interviewed for the passages are, is it A, adult males and females? It can't be adult males and females because we have youth mentioned in there. Young children and teenagers, it can't be young children and teenagers because we have adults mentioned in there. Youths and adults are definitely is the correct answer. D, adult females and children. Well, we have someone in passage A. If we look at excerpt A, it seems like that was an adult male speaking. So it cannot be D. So the correct answer is definitely C. Okay, let's move on to question 6. It says, unless otherwise instructed, questions 6 through 10 should be answered as far as possible in your own words. Your answer should be based on the extract. So it says, quote. So here we have the given exact quotation. Quote 2 sentences from interview A, which indicate that the speaker refers to dying in a dignified, respectful way, but also in a worried or fearful way. And so as we move forward, these are model answers. So your answer does not have to be exactly like this verbatim, but these answers are giving you an example of what a good answer would look like. Okay, so in interview A, this is a model answer or an example of how a good answer would look like. It says in interview A, the 2 sentences that indicate the speaker refers to dying in a dignified, respectful. In interview A, the 2 sentences that indicate the speaker refers to dying in a dignified, respectful way, but also in a worried or fearful way are A, number 1, rather, I can't think of a more admirable way to leave this earth. This one right here is referring to him, he referring to death in a dignified and respectful way. And number 2, it sure beats passing a decrepit old mess. It sure beats passing as a decrepit old mess in some nursing home at age 90. This one is referring to, dying in a worried or fearful way, in a nursing home at 90 years old. Okay, question number 6C. It says, what technique does the writer use to give readers a strong sense of tone that speaker B uses while being interviewed? Again, this is just a model answer. This is an example of what a good answer might look like. This is not these answers are not meant to be, okay, this is the only answer that works. This is not it doesn't mean that when I give these answers, especially moving forward, doesn't mean that your answer has to be like mine verbatim. Like, these are not answers verbatim. You could use your own language and your own style in expressing yourself in the way you answer it. But these answers are there to give an idea of what a good answer look like, and hopefully gives you inspiration on how you can answer yours when you get inside the exam. All right. So this one, I'm gonna first give you a basic way to answer this question, and then I'm gonna give you a more sophisticated way to answer this. So a basic way is, you can say, by using the technique of capitalization, which is observed in the phrase very overused term, the writer gives to the readers a strong sense, it's supposed to be a strong sense of the tone that speaker B uses while being interviewed. So this is a basic answer. Um, and then a more sophisticated or advanced answer would be the following: utilizing the technique of capitalization as evidenced by the phrase very overused term, speaker B purposely and intensifies their strong viewpoint on the widespread use of the term hero, emphasizing the spontaneous and genuine nature of authentic heroism. So basically, what we're basically saying is that um, the technique that the writer uses is to capitalize, or we call it the caps lock effect. So basically, when the writer capitalizes very, they're basically trying to, emphasize something. They're basically trying to intensify something, just they're basically trying to create emphasis. And so that's what we basically trying to say. Like when you are texting and you use cap lock, and it's like say, for example, you're trying to tell someone happy birthday, and if you put that in caps lock, we call that the caps lock effect. You know, like, it basically emphasizes, hey, happy birthday. You know, when you're writing, like texting, or, when you're like, for this writer, they're writing, and, you cannot really, like, a way to show emotion or to show, like, expression and emphasis is to use caps lock, is to, capitalize certain words. So in this case, the writer capitalized the word very just to show emphasis and to show that strong sense, to show that they emphatically, to show that their position is emphatic, and to show that their position is strong, and that they really mean this, and they're just really trying to bring this point home. And so that's basically what this is trying to say. All right, so question number 7. Heroes cause others to react to them in various specific ways. Explain 4 ways in which people respond to heroes described in the passage. So I'm going to read a model answer. One way is admiration. Speaker A responds to the hero, the firefighter, with admiration for his act of courage and bravery in the movie Volcano. Speaker D also admires Jennifer Hudson, whom she considers as a hero. Jennifer Hudson supposed to be with a double N. So heroes. So one way we find the speakers inside this, inside this passage referring to their heroes is with admiration. They admire their heroes' bravery, and they look up to them and they like their traits that the heroes exemplify. And that's why they talk about them, and that's why they, mention them and stuff like that, because they like what they do. Astonishment. So like that's like surprise and amazement. Speaker I was very surprised that someone was honest enough to bring her lost phone to the police station instead of stealing it. She responded to Hero with shock and genuine amazement. So this one referring to when the girl lost her iPhone, um, and you know, she lost her iPhone and I wonder if it's a girl. Let me see if we get evidence that it's actually a girl. That's a good point. I'm not sure. It says, okay, um, fast food restaurant. Okay. Personally, okay, no, not that. Where's her? Where's she? That would be okay, maybe months ago I was washing whenever hour I was more someone found it. I could hardly believe. Okay, I don't know why I said her. Um, maybe 2 months ago at fast food restaurant was washing her hands, returned out. That's fine. I had to sit down, I was more than upset. Police station. Okay, someone had found a phone. Okay. I mean, it could be a male. I mean, it sounds like a female. It just sounds like a female, but it could be a male. I mean, the gender is not given, but I mean, going to the bathroom, um, and stuff like that, washing hands, females are typically more cleanly than males. So it seems like more than likely seems like a woman. That's probably why I put a she, but we don't know. That's a good point. We don't know the identity of the speaker. So I shouldn't say she, I should say he or she. So just bear that in mind when you're looking at this model answer for astonishment. So speaker I was very surprised that someone was honest enough to bring his or her phone to the police station instead of stealing it. He or she responded to their hero with shock and genuine amazement. So that'll be the correction of that one. Reflection and self-evaluation. Speaker E reflects on his or her own actions during a crisis involving Roger, which was that person's hero, expressing a sense of guilt for not taking a more active role. This response indicates self-evaluation and introspection in the face of heroism, prompting the speaker to assess their own behavior. So this one, they're looking, they're looking at what the hero did and they're like, I wonder why I didn't do it and stuff like that. And it brings, it causes them to reflect and evaluate, and also causes them to feel inferior. They're like, um, it causes them to feel small, but they still appreciate what they did, and it also inspires them too. Sympathy and emotional connection. The response this is a continuation. So the response by speaker H to the little boy in Haiti who saved most people in his class during an earthquake reflects sympathy and emotional connection. The boy's martyr's death and heroic sacrifice evokes in speaker H both sadness and sympathy. His actions also exemplified to speaker H the selfless actions of a true excuse me, his actions also exemplified to Speaker H the selfless actions of a true hero. So here we have sympathy and emotional connection. Inspiration for personal growth. Speaker D mentions the struggles and challenges that Jennifer Hudson went through, yet she still became successful. Jennifer Hudson's resilience and success serves as a source of motivation and inspiration for the speaker to overcome challenges and achieve his or her own aspirations. And then we have collective triumph sharing. This is the last one I'll mention. Heroes serve as conduits for collective triumph, as witnessed in the emotional response to the Golden Girls' victorious relay race by Speaker H. The speaker's tears while watching his or her heroes accomplish an enormous feat are tears of joy and not sadness. The speaker's responds to his or her heroes by sharing in the jubilation and emotional glee that attended that triumphant accomplishment. The speaker responds to his or her heroes by sharing in the jubilation and emotional glee that attended that triumphant accomplishment. So basically, what we're saying here is that um, speaker H, she was, sympathetic, and sad, but sympathetic, and also, she also points out that well, she's sad because the person died, but she also understands that, even though the person died, they died for a good cause. And so she points out, I keep on saying she, but this person, the speaker points out that, hey, this is a true hero, and so even though the speaker is sad, she's also sympathetic, but also understands that this is something that is good, it's something that was done for the greater good, even though it's sad that the person died, and it's sad that, the situation happened. The whole situation is an unfortunate situation, and so she expresses sympathy and empathy towards the whole situation, but also understands that it was a heroic thing to do. Inspiration, well, Jennifer Hudson is that person's inspiration. Seeing what Jennifer did inspires her, to overcome her own challenges. And even though she might have said, and even though that speaker rather might have setbacks and stuff like that, um, you know, what Jennifer Hudson, endured and persevered, is something that she could look at and say, if she could do it, I could do it. And I like this one, collective triumph sharing. So basically, what this is saying is that, you know, the way how this speaker respond to their heroes, because it's Golden Girls, is that they share in the hero's success. And so that's a nice thing. They see the hero, rejoicing and being glad, and that spills over to them, and they share in that. They are glad watching their hero, you know, um, you know, accomplish something big, and they are happy because they're happy for the person, and also seeing people happy makes you happy, and there's some sort of and having that, and that whole festive, and she even gets emotional. It's not she, the speaker gets emotional, you know in this whole scene, seeing their joy, breeds joy in her, in the speaker's heart, and the speaker, sorry, shares in that joy. And maybe it also, you know, brings the speaker to the point where the speaker, you know, can relate to that joy and triumph, or if not relate to that joy, um, can look at it as something that's where I want to be, So maybe that joy is not only for the speaker's accomplishments, but also for, maybe it's the speaker's, you know, foreshadowing, or not foreshadowing, but looking at their life and saying, that's the joy I want to have, or that's the joy I had when something good happened in my life, or that's the joy I want to have. So it could be them looking at their own life and saying, that's the joy I want, or that's the joy I had, or that's the joy I like to see, So there's various ways, but either way, we know that this speaker's sharing in the joy of that of their hero's triumph. All right. All right, now we have 8. It says the heroes described in interviews often responded to life-threatening moments as well as occasions that were not at all dangerous. Write a paragraph which justifies the statement. Use no more than 150 words in your response. So basically, this question is saying, if you look at the examples, some of these persons had extremely tough and risky situations. For example, you had that person with the volcano, he actually died. You had that boy, who risked his life to save, most of the people in his class. He ended up dying. Those are risky and life-threatening situations. And then you have the dog, and then you have, different, the boy who went inside, the young man who went inside the cage with to save that baby. Those are life-threatening situations. And so the question is saying, hey, you know, point out those life-threatening moments, but also point out the situations that are not so dangerous. For example, the Golden Girls, winning a medal, that's not something that's dangerous or life-threatening as, say, you know, saving someone, from lava and stuff like that. And so, this question is just saying, point out the varying degrees of risk and, and tie it all into a paragraph. So that's what this paragraph basically is saying. So a model answer would be something like this. The heroes described in the interviews exhibited responses, sorry, the heroes described in the interviews exhibited, no, I messed up here. The heroes described in the interviews exhibit. No, something is wrong. I need to correct this. The heroes described in the interviews exhibit responses. Oh, okay, I understand. The heroes described in the interviews exhibited responses. I just say exhibited. We should say exhibited different responses. Exhibited, that's the word. Exhibited different responses. All right. All right. So let's write that different. All right, so there we go. Even though all of them were acts of courage and, heroic acts, they were specifically different in their, exemplification of that, heroic act. So the heroes described in the interviews exhibited different responses to various situations, with some involving substantial risks, while others unfold in less perilous or dangerous circumstances. For instance, the firefighter portrayed in the movie Volcano Interview A faced a life-threatening scenario, rescuing an unconscious individual from a train amid approaching lava and sacrificing his own life in the process. Similarly, the unidentified man who leaped into action when the baby fell into a gorilla cage interview B found himself in a dangerous situation. Instances such as defense force officers searching for missing passengers in Lake Killarney after a plane crash, and Zulu, the African Barbel, rescuing a baby from a burning house, interview J, highlight heroes responding to situations that were hazardous, demanding courage and quick thinking. It's important to note that the heroic little boy in Haiti, who saved most of his classmates during an earthquake, interview H, tragically lost his life, illustrating the profound sacrifices some heroes must make in their courageous endeavors. Accounts like the little accounts like the Golden Girls' triumph in a race, interview G, and the individual returning a lost iPhone to the police station, interview I, depict situations that, while not life-threatening, are also heroic. The former showcases acts of preparation and endurance, and the latter demonstrates honesty and genuine consideration. And so that's a model answer. You can look at it and, there's supposed to be a period there. You could look at it instead of a comma. You could look at it and, basically gain inspiration on how you can construct your own answer. Okay, let's move on to the next question. We can infer that the homeowners in interview J are concerned about a number of things related to the family's way of life. Write a paragraph that gives an account of these different things. Explain specifically how these conclusions can be drawn. Use no more than 150 words. Okay, this is a very important question. So if we look at the passage, we find these homeowners, the homeowners who are Zulu, that South African breed of dog, or that canine. Now, if we look at how their home, if you look carefully, if you read carefully that paragraph, you would see some interesting things about their house and it'll show you different concerns that they have. For example, you have, the girl who's homeschooling, you have, they have a gardener who uses compost, they don't use pesticides, they have a 7-foot wall, surrounding their property, they have they have a gardener and a helper. Like if you look at their, those specific details, it can give you, you know, some sort of hint as to the concerns of this family and the things that they prioritize and the things that they consider important. And so that's what basically this question is asking, and how this answer is phrased is hitting at, these concerns. So this is how the answer goes. In interview J, the homeowners expressed concerns about several aspects of their family's way of life. Firstly, the mentioning of homeschooling indicates a focus on personalized education for their children, suggesting a desire for hands-on involvement in their upbringing. The gardener tends to the compost heap and manually removes bugs. The gardener tends to the compost heap and manually remove bugs, reflects their commitment to natural pesticide-free living. The emphasis on Zulu, a South African verbal, highlights their concern for security, especially given the mention of the potential orchard raids and 7-foot walls surrounding their property. The fact that the family has a gardener and a helper for the affairs of the home indicates a deliberate delegation of responsibilities so that perhaps the family can spend more time together. The kitchen fire incident highlights their commitment to quick thinking in emergencies, prioritizing family members' safety and showcasing a strong sense of responsibility. Collectively, these details paint a vivid picture of a family deeply invested in unconventional, self-reliant, and protective values, revealing a comprehensive concern for their distinctive way of life and well-being of each family member. So that's a model answer that you can use to draw inspiration from, and hopefully it can help you as you answer this question and think about, answers to this question. Okay, the last question, question 10. Do I have question 10 written? Oh, this will be interesting. I need to have question 10 written. I don't have it, but I have it. I don't have it on the slide, but I'll read it. Um, you know what? Let me show it. I'll read it and also show it, but I don't have it on the slide. I would let me do something so I could show it to you all. This is very important that you see the question. So let's go. Let me show you the question. The question itself. Um, okay, so question 10. All right, there we go. It says write an article. It says write an article for your school newspaper, which includes the line, all societies need heroes. People who can be found in a variety of places and who possess very special traits of character that are valued in the society. Focus your discussion in the following way. Use ideas from the passage when briefly stating where people turn in search of heroes and when identifying the special character traits of a hero, and explain fully why you believe these traits should be valued by a society. Your article should be no more than 350 words. It should not retell the interviews. This is very important. And this question is worth the most marks. So you have to pay attention with this one. So the idea here is that what you want to do is first of all, they want you to create a newspaper article for your school newspaper. So that's the framework, that's the format you need to, put this, piece of writing in. That's the format that you have to use. Like you're writing an article to, your newspaper for your school. But you need to answer the question. So it says focus your discussion the following way. Use ideas from the past. So you have to use ideas from the past. That's very important. They don't want you to retell the interviews. They don't want you to, tell what Speaker J say or Speaker I said. They just want you to use ideas from the passage. Like okay, firefighters, um, actors or like just draw inspiration from the passage. And you want to make it clear that you're drawing inspiration from the passage. That's very important. Use ideas from the passage when briefly stating where people turn to and search for heroes. So there you can think of a lot of things because we can automatically find instances inside the passage where people turn to for heroes. People turn to heroes by looking at movies. Like the firefighter was a movie scene. They've turned to inspiration for heroes by looking at actors. Sorry, yeah, by looking at actresses. And people who have made it. Like for example, Jennifer Hudson. They look for heroes in ordinary people, like the boy who stand up for for them inside the class, or the ordinary person who was honest enough to bring back their phone. Those are stuff that should be coming in your mind when you're looking at this question. And then they said, use ideas from the passage when, stating where people turn to for heroes and when identifying the special character traits of the heroes. So what character traits was mentioned by these persons in the essay, in the reading that you had, that draw them to their hero, that cause them to admire their hero? Well, if you look at it, honesty is a characteristic. The person, she said that that person is a hero because the person was honest. They brought back her iPhone. Honesty is a character trait. How about bravery? Bravery is a character trait. That person, who went inside the cage and was had the courage to I say cage, but who went inside with the gorilla and who had the courage, to risk his life, that's bravery, right? So bravery is a trait that you could think of. Honesty, courage, you know, you know, what else things, victory, having a commitment to excellence, like, the Golden Girls, and them having that commitment to excellence, having a commitment to winning. About resilience, and having not going to quit attitude, as exemplified by Jennifer Hudson. Even though she went through a lot, risk taking, all those things are traits you could be thinking about that was mentioned in the passage that you could take advantage of, especially when looking at this question. And then they say, explain fully why you believe these traits should be valued by a society. Now you have displayed why you believe these traits, the traits of courage, the traits of honesty, the traits of bravery and a commitment to excellence. Why should these traits be valued as a society? What benefits does it bring to a society by having people who have these traits? Why why do you believe that these traits should be valued? Why should society value these traits? And society should value these traits if they would be a benefit to it. So you're thinking, okay, well, how do these traits benefit a society? So that's very important. This is where you get to, input and to, add your own flavor to it. But the first part, you have to draw inspiration from the passage, like not like verbatim, but just drawing inspiration and finding things that make sense and that you could use inside of it. And so I'm going to give you a model answer, a model article, or a newspaper article that you could, draw inspiration from and hopefully see how you can answer a question like that. So I have a title here, and the title is The Significance of Heroic Character Traits in Shaping Society. So it is a newspaper article, so obviously you want to title it. I think that's appropriate here. Um, if you want to, you could address if you want to in this, you could address, you know, the 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 persons. You could say, you know, their their fellow, you know, their fellow colleagues or their fellow students, I think that would be a better way to start this off. I should have, start off with that greeting, just to, have that sense of, hey, I'm in a school that or maybe I should have said their fellow students and mention the name of the school. I think that's very important. So what I forgot to put inside of this is just that initial heading or additional greeting of their fellow students at AF Adley Junior High School. Thank you for constantly, you know, uh, tuning into um, you know, our regular newspaper articles. That would be, short of just to give us, a sort of slight introduction, that would be appropriate here. But I went right into it, and I shouldn't have done. I should have given some sort of greeting. But in a world that seems increasingly complex and ever changing, the question of who our society's heroes are becomes more relevant than ever. Let's read that again. In a world that seems increasingly complex and ever changing, the question of who our society's heroes are becomes more relevant than ever. Indeed, all societies need heroes, people who can be found in a variety of places and who possess very special character traits that are of value to the society. This article explores the enduring relevance of the heroic character traits such as courage, selflessness, and a commitment to others in shaping a compassionate, resilient, and hopeful society. Heroes emerge from diverse backgrounds, not confined to specific professions or statuses. Whether it's the firefighter facing molten lava, the everyday person stepping up in a moment of crisis, or even the beloved athletes like the Golden Girls, heroes can be found in unexpected corners of our lives. These heroes serve as beacons, showcasing the diverse sources from which individuals can draw inspiration, fostering a sense of inclusivity in our shared societal narrative. Courage, selflessness, and commitment to others are recurring character traits highlighted in various contexts. The firefighter risking everything to save lives, the young student confronting potential harm to protect a teacher, the defense force officers diligently searching to find missing individuals, and even the struggles and triumphs of figures like Jennifer Hudson all exhibit a profound sense of duty and bravery. These traits act as a moral compass, offering guidance for ethical behavior in a world where values may seem muddled and ambiguous. The value of these character traits lies not only in their capacity to guide individual actions, but also in their ability to foster collective responsibility. By celebrating courage, compassion, and self-sacrifice, society encourages the development of these traits in individuals. These collective nurturing, these collective nurture, this collective nurturing creates a culture where people are willing to stand up for what is right, even in the face of adversity. In turn, this shared responsibility becomes the foundation for a stronger, more interconnected community. Heroic character traits inspire hope in a world grappling with challenges. The stories of those who exhibit these traits offer a glimmer of optimism, reminding us that positive change is possible. Each person has the potential to embody these character traits, becoming a hero in their own way. By recognizing and celebrating these traits, society can cultivate an environment that encourages individuals to contribute positively to their communities, fostering a sense of agency and empowerment. In conclusion, the enduring relevance of heroic character traits lies in their ability to guide ethical behavior, foster collective responsibility, and inspire hope. As we navigate the complexities of our world, valuing and encouraging the development of these traits will contribute to the creation of a more compassionate, resilient, and hopeful society. Recognizing and celebrating these character traits in individuals can be the catalyst for positive change, for, for, forging a path towards a better future for all. All right, that was the model newspaper article. And that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you find this video helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.